How many of you can say that you have taken at least 24 webinars since 2020? Since this thing, go on ahead and just pop it in the chat if it's a Y. I think that's a low number, right? We've had this opportunity to really kind of share with one another and to engage. And the bottom line that we can ask is, although we've had these opportunities to learn and connect, how often do what we learn, how often does that translate into changes in our lives? There is an actual law of forgetting that says that even when we're paying attention, y'all, when we are focused, when we're listening to stuff, we're having a good time, they say that about half of that information is going to be forgotten in the next 24 hours, and almost all of it is forgotten in 5 days, unless we do something to actually secure it, to anchor it down into our minds. So to kind of help that, what we would love for you to do is to use a tool that when I started using this a long time ago, y'all, it changed my life literally and how learning happens. And I share it every time I speak. And this is called a TAPA tool. Don't unmute, but talk to your imaginary neighbor and say TAPA. This is how it works. I'd love for you to grab a piece of paper. Just across the top, put the name of the webinar, and do this anytime you're learning, whatever it is that you're doing. And then on the left-hand side, just put TA. That's it. Draw a line down the middle. And what we would love for you to do is, as we go through this webinar, as you hear our amazing speakers share, as anything that comes across that they say, that somebody says in the chat, anything that comes up in your mind, if it resonates, it's stuck for a reason. So we want you to jot that down. That one act can help the neurotransmitters and what happens with our neurology to help it to stick a little bit more. So throughout this webinar, we're going to go after, people speak and that kind of thing, and we're going to ask for your takeaways. I want you all to type a takeaway, a key takeaway in the chat each time we do that. It's going to help us with our learning, but here's the thing too. I often say that participation can pay. There are going to be a bunch of giveaways, and it's going to be based on folks that do actually comment and participate. So if you're sharing online via Facebook, we'll be monitoring that as well. If we're good, y'all give me a thumbs up or a 1 in the chat, and we will keep right on rolling. I want to do this first by just really taking a moment to see who is here in the Zoom room. So I'm going to open up chat, and I want you all to go on ahead, and if you're able, if you're driving, stay safe, don't do this, but if you're able, go on ahead and put your name and what city and state you are joining us from. And we're going to let those kind of roll on through. Just your name, keep them coming. Remember, participation is going to go into drawings. We want to get you used to using that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see a lot of Baton Rouge and Zachary. Milwaukee come through. All right, let's see. Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge. Central Atlanta, wonderful. Zachary. So we got people from all over. Keep it in. Again, we're going to use this information later on in the session. Really quickly, I'm just going to move on forward and just share a little quick bit about me. My name is Nettie Johnson. I am a member of the Baton Rouge Sigma alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'm also a certified health education specialist, a certified health coach. I am a self-care strategist. I have a couple of books, and I have a learning center and a couple of other things, but basically my life is around helping people to find balance and live well. So as we go forward, I would love for us to just start off by just laying some foundations around what we're going to be talking about as it relates to goals. And why does this kind of apply? Y'all, New Year's resolutions. I'm not going to ask in the chat if you all set them. Some people do, some people don't. About half of Americans do. So more than 125 million people in this nation set New Year's resolutions. And whether you call it that or not, hopefully, we all periodically throughout our existence takes moments to look at where we are and to look at what could be, should be, and to examine that gap and say, well, how am I going to bridge that from where I am in whatever area of my life to where I could and should be? Well, as I mentioned, folks love to set New Year's resolutions, and let's take a look at what some of these resolutions are. This was some data that we got from Forbes Health, and they said that in this current year, that the most popular resolutions, y'all, have to do around fitness, finances, then it's mental health. It's very interesting. Mental health has really come up in the rankings as far as what people are thinking about, what people are working towards. And we saw that change when we even looked at the beautiful webinar that our chapter did last Wellness Wednesday. It is so good to see that we're taking care of our mental health. When you go down, it's like your money, and then it goes not smoking, relationships, hobbies, so on and so forth, coming down to performing better at work. Now, whether your goal, resolution, whatever you call it, is on that list, hopefully you can look at some goals that you have set so that you can do better. And when people do this, y'all, they are often doing it with a very positive intent. Most people, again, going back to this survey, most people that set resolutions, they believe that it is going to have a positive impact in their life, not just for now, but past this year, for time and time to come. They believe that this is something that can shift them into a better place, maybe impact other people that are in their circle of influence. And here's the thing too, about 80% of folks feel that they are confident in their abilities to reach these goals. Something kind of funny, y'all, men are much more confident than women, but we see that across the board, right? They got that strong confidence gene, right? So these are good goals. They can help me, they can help my community, my family. And I believe that I can get them. But really quickly, I'm looking in the comments, how many of y'all think that most people achieve these goals that we set? Put a 1 if you think people do, and put a 0 if you think they don't. Just pop it in the comments. Y'all right? I see you. Somebody put 0.5. Come through. I like that. It depends, right? Okay. Most people are saying no. Here's the thing. It is so rare that people not only accomplish these goals, resolutions, whatever you call it, they actually, did y'all know that today is a holiday? And the holiday is Ditch New Year's Resolutions Day. January 17th has been deemed that because 23% of people that set resolutions at January 1, they've quit by the end of the first week. 43% have ditched it by the end of January, and only 9% that set these resolutions, these goals that start the year saying 2024 is going to be different in this area, only about 9% make that happen. I love that face that somebody put into the chat. Y'all keep engaging with us. We love that. But y'all, we can do differently. We can do differently. And so today we have 2 experts, y'all. They're both coaches. One is a running coach and in fitness, and the other is a career coach. These women, they could literally do hour-long master classes about how to set goals, how to close that gap we talked about. But because of the interest in time, y'all, I want you to take your notes. They're going to go on ahead and they're going to share. And as you hear these gems, write them down. And I want you to think about how can these be applied to whatever change has been laid on your heart, is clear in your head, that needs to be made in your life. They're going to be talking about coming from different areas, but pick the gems, write them down on your TA sheet, and we're going to roll. Are y'all ready? Y'all ready? Give me a 1 if we're ready. Give me a 1 if we're ready. Yes. All right. Now I want to introduce to you all. She's actually she's a mentor, and I don't even think she knows this. Like, we met years back. And I follow her, do that, like I'm an admirer, like Facebook stalking, but we're friendly. Jatola Anderson Breer, she is a soror in the Houston alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And she is a senior professional in the human resources area. She holds a certification there, and she's been in this area for 30 years, extremely expert in human resources and connecting people. Where she's going to share about, y'all, is this aspect. Just think about this. She's also a certified running coach and a long distance runner. Y'all, this woman has completed more than 400 races. More than 90 of them are marathons. Marathons are 26.2 miles, y'all. She is a 10-time Boston Marathon completer. Y'all, that is hard to even get into. She's completed 6 New York City marathons, and she is on track in March to finish the 6-star medal. And we'll talk about what that means. She has started running groups. Some of you, I noticed when I looked in the group, are part of her Facebook group that has over 1,500 sorors across the nation that are for people who want to walk or run. She just encourages everyone to find their fit. And if it happens to be on the pavement, she's going to support them there. And she also what's really interesting is that she shares that she started this particular running aspect of her life later in life. starting by walking in her living room. Y'all, I'm gonna turn off the share, and I want you all to welcome Jatola Anderson Blair, and we're gonna have like an interview kind of session, and we're gonna share a little bit about how we can close the gap from where we are to open to other places that can be so beneficial in different areas of our lives. All right, Soror, Jatola, how are you today?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I would love for you to just share a little bit about your journey from not even being a walker to being like literally an elite marathoner. Share a little bit about your
So my running journey really started out as walking, as you said. I used to do the Leslie Sansone videos in my living room. And so I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning. This was back when the Obamas were in office. And I remember reading somewhere that Mrs. Obama, that she got up at 4:30 to work out. And I said, well, if 4:30 is good enough for her, it's good enough for me. I have no excuse. And so I'd get up every morning, push away the coffee table, and I do the Leslie Sansone walk at home videos. And I did that for a while till I got up to 2 miles in the house. Then I got up to 4. And when I got up to 4 miles in the house, I took it outside. And then I was comfortably walking up like 4 during the week and 8 on the weekend. And that was 8 was my top. And again, important to note, this was walking. There was no running involved. And then a friend of mine passed away, and I wanted to do something to honor her or to honor her memory. And so I signed up to do a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. Remember, I had never been past 8 miles. And uh, this was the craziest idea, but I let my friend talk me into it. And once I signed up and spent my money and also started raising money for a charity, I had no way of backing out. I knew that I had to go through with it. And so the team that I was assigned with, I was always the last one. So basically, the way the arrangement worked, I signed a contract that they would provide me with the resources to complete the event, and in exchange, I would raise funds. So they provided a training plan that I followed during the week by myself, and on the weekends, then I'd meet up with the group. When I met with the group, Soranetti, without fail, every week I was the slowest and the last one. And I could tell that they weren't really feeling me, because you know what? No one was ever mean to me, but you can read a vibe. We all can. And so I knew that they weren't feeling me. And what the lady would do, the coordinator, because I was the last one, she would be standing there with her little pad. And when she saw me turn the corner, she would check my name off that I came back, but there was no interaction. She'd get in her car and leave. And that was my experience for a while. And then that group disbanded, and they merged the few of us that were left, they merged us into a bigger team on the other side of Houston. And I remember saying to the coach, I feel like a fraud because my fundraising is going really well. I'm raising all this money, but at the pace that I'm going, I'm not going to be listed as an official finisher. And that just felt fraudulent to me. And she said these magic words. She said, well, you're almost there. So almost there, the required pace was 13 minutes and 44 seconds per mile in order to finish in 3 hours. And I was right at about 14 minutes, but couldn't get much faster. And she said, well, how about you run for 1 minute out of each mile? And I took her up on that, and lo and behold, I started hitting the 13:44 and getting even faster. And what I noticed was that I really enjoyed the running portion, and so I was running longer than a minute, but I would just run until I was gasping like a donkey, like and till I ran out of breath, and I had no real strategy around that. And later on, I found out about a method that I encourage you to add this to your TA part of your paperwork, called the Galloway method. And what that is, it's a run walk method, but instead of running until you're exhausted, the walk breaks are actually scheduled. And it's a powerful way to build up strength, build up endurance, and to keep going. And so there are people who are very surprised to find that 11 years later, I'm still doing Galloway. And as Sora Nettie said, that I've qualified for the Boston Marathon numerous times. So I've ran it 10 times, and each time as a qualifier. Other ways of getting in is either to a charity or to an invitation, but I've always gotten in as a qualifier. And it's low-key a big deal. I don't make a big deal out of it, but it low-key is. But I went from literally.
Can I say something real quick, Sora? Yeah, okay. Let's back up. And I would love for you all, as we're going through this, to just put in the chat things that you're picking up. Sora, can I just back up a little bit and talk about some of the stuff that you said? One of the things that I noticed is that you started this because not necessarily it being about you, it was for something bigger than you. You said it was to honor a friend that had passed. That was the driver. I noticed that you said you got up at 4:30 because you're busy, and you looked at Michelle Obama and was like, well, if she can get up, then I can get up and do this. So we hit that time thing. Sora, you talked about, look at people, look, people are picking up gems. Look in the chat. I really love how you said in the beginning, you were always the last one and you were feeling that kind of hateration, but that didn't let you stop.
Nope.
That didn't pull you back. You found something that worked for you. And now literally people train their lives to get into this, and you're using a walk-run method and you've done it 10 times.
Yes.
Come through. All right. I just had to look, I'm seeing other people are putting things in. Now keep on going, keep on going. Talk to me a little bit about the community that you've created and support. People are saying you are inspiring and okay, y'all, I hope we save this chat. It is so many wonderful things coming in. Talk to me a little bit about the community you've created.
So I think many of you are probably familiar with Black Girls Run. So Black Girls Run, that organization was formed by two AKA Soras who one of them wanted to lose weight, and so she started running. And when she told her friend, she's like, hey, I'm running, so that I can lose weight. And her friend said to her, Black girls don't run. And she said, Black girls don't run. And that's kind of how that organization came about. And they have chapters all over the country. And I was the original ambassador for the Houston chapter. And so, it's an organization made up of women from all walks of lives. And the tagline is no woman left behind. So it doesn't matter how fast or slow you are, even if you're the slowest one. Unlike that experience I had with the other group, you would never be left behind, because when I led BGR groups, basically the format we use is the faster people would go up front, and then they'd loop around and circle back behind the slower ones. And so nobody was ever left behind. And I really enjoyed that. But you know how us Deltas are, we like to have our own little thing. And so I was going to all these races, and one of the things I always did was like, where are the Deltas? Where are the Deltas? And we were always there. And so right after we came back from Centennial, I got this notion that, wouldn't it be nice if I created a little spot that it was for my Delta friends who run? Because my running friends who are not Deltas don't want to hear about Delta, and my Delta friends who don't run don't want to hear about running. And so I wanted to create a space where I could marry those two parts of my passions. And so in July of 2013, I started a group called Crimson Team, the Crimson Team. And I think we started out with maybe about 40 people. And as she said, we have about 1,500 now. And it's just Soras from all over the country, really all over the world, because we do have some international members. And one of the great things about it is that when we go to races, we know in advance that our sisters are going to be there. And sometimes we're just obnoxious enough to show up with matching shirts. we did that in Alaska, and we just got the eye. And we gave them something to look at.
You got 1,500 people coming together in a connecting under fitness and being just there for support. How important is that accountability and camaraderie? Sister Natisha said is unity at its best. How important is that in our goals when we're trying to close these goals, whether it's walking, running, whether it's an academic goal, whether it's changing our eating, whatever it is that we're working on so that we can live better? How important is that connectivity and accountability?
I think the accountability is a powerful component because human nature being what it is, we'll get up and make excuses. And if we make excuses, we won't get anything done. You all know it. Excuses are the tools of the incompetent. They build bridges. Da da da. We won't get anything done. But there is something about having that accountability partner that part of it. That part of us that doesn't want to let them down, that part of us that doesn't want to feel ashamed, will make us go out when we don't feel, go out and do what we're supposed to do when we don't feel like it.
Come
And I
on.
promise you, there will be more days when you do not feel like it. And if you wait to always feel like it, you won't meet your goals because you won't do what you're supposed to. And so one of the things I'd encourage you as you leave here tonight is find an accountability partner, whether you're actually meeting up in person to do your activity or you're just reporting into each other. There is something powerful about that because as you build that relationship, as I said, you don't want to let that person down. And so there'll be days when the bed feels really good or you're watching a movie and it's at the good part or whatever. But knowing that you have to say to so-and-so, oh, girl, I didn't go today. Somehow there's just this element of shame to that that makes you say, no, I don't want to let her down. Let me go do this. And what I'll also encourage you is instead of trying to have these big grandiose goals that, I'm going to move mountains, just try to do a little bit and be consistent about it. If you start small and stay consistent, that's where you build up. And then in time, you'll be able to look back and say, oh my goodness, look how far I've come. But it's easy to become discouraged when you set your goals too ambitious, too big. And then you're like, oh, nothing works. Oh, forget it. I give up. But if you just go for the little starter, and build on that, you will be impressed with your own self. You'll be patting yourself like Niecy Nash saying, congratulations to me because I did that. And having that accountability is a key element to achieving that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're actually into the part where we're having the engagement part, but I see y'all tearing up the chat already. I'm loving what I'm seeing in here. There's one other thing, Sora, that I would love for you to share for individuals. And again, these concepts, accountability, feelings are fickle. Sometimes if we wait until we feel like doing something, we'll never get it done. Start small and be consistent in what works for you and then have a progression. What about when you kind of have a fallback? And as she shares this last part, I want you all to look at your TA list. Y'all, do you all see I have one too? I want you to look at your takeaway. And I want, as she's sharing this last part, just type into the chat one main thing that you heard from this truly inspiring story that you feel would be a fit in your life. Share about when you have a setback and tell us about what recently happened with you.
Okay, so you mentioned that I've run the New York Marathon several times. And, I live in Houston. And so the New York Marathon is in November. So that means, it's the first week in November. That means you're training in October, September, August, July, just the miserable hot months in Houston. And it's easy to say, oh, it's too hot, I'm not going. In the summer, I go out at 4:30 because if I wait till 6 o'clock, it's too late. It's too hot. And I had trained really, really hard in 2022. And that New York race was going to be my, and so I got to New York on Thursday. The race is on Sunday. And so I went for a shakeout run with a few friends on Friday morning. And as I was walking back to the hotel, just walking, not running, not doing anything in particular, I tripped on the sidewalk and fell. And that resulted in a break that's called a trimalleolar break. And they say only 7% of people get that break, that kind of break.
You're just
essentially,
outstanding all around, even in your brain.
essentially, right, overachiever in the wrong way. Um, I broke 3 bones in my ankle, and so my foot was flopping around like a bunny ear. And so they had to call the ambulance. They took me to the hospital. They did a temporary cast until I could come home and have surgery. And so I had surgery about 2 weeks later, and I was laid up for weeks. And eventually I started physical therapy, I think in February. And when I met with my therapist, he said, "Well, what are your goals?" And I said, "I want to run the Boston Marathon." And he goes, "Ah, ha, ha." And I wasn't laughing with him. And he goes, "You're serious?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Oh my goodness, well, when is it?" And I said, "It's in April." He said, "Well, let's get out the calendar. Let's see, if that's feasible." And I remember he said to me, he said, "We can make this work, but it's going to hurt. Are you ready for that?" And I said, "I'm prepared to do whatever I have to." And Soros, he did not lie. There were times when the sessions hurt so bad that I'd sit in the car and cry before I came back home. But I was consistent about doing the exercises that he had me do. And what I loved about the experience, if there was anything to love, was that almost the whole team looked like me. And when I walked in there, they treated me like I was the favorite auntie. There was so much respect and so much commitment, and I felt seen and heard. I felt like I was a partner in my care. He listened to me. And when I had my exit interview with him, after I was all done, that's what I said to him. I said, the most important thing that I think contributed to my fast recuperation was that I was treated with so much respect, and I didn't have to fight to be heard. And so that's just kind of an aside, but an important point. When you're seeking care, you want to be with people who listen to you and act like you have some kind of sense, and not talk down to you and ignore you and discount your input. So anyway, so all that to say that I broke my foot. My foot was flopping around like this for weeks and weeks. I couldn't walk. I went from the crutches to the scooter to the cane, the boot, all the different stages. But he engaged in a therapy philosophy that he calls performance-based rehabilitation. And from the day that I started, since my compromised activity was running, he had me to start running. So the first time I ran a mile, it took 25 minutes. Please note that I used to run a 5K in 23 minutes. A 5K is 3.1 miles. So I went from running 3.1 miles in 23 minutes to running 1 mile in 25 minutes. But I had that goal in mind, and I was committed. I was dedicated. I took the little baby steps. The baby steps got bigger and bigger. I got stronger and more confident. And I wasn't sure that I'd be able to finish the race, so nobody knew that I was doing it. And so when Boston came and I popped up as having completed it, people were like, "We could walk."
I cried when I saw it. When I saw you post, I'm telling you, I'm tearing up. Look, you shared a couple of other things, and y'all, I want y'all to go on ahead and give some applause or show some love to Soror for her sharing. A couple of things that I really kicked on is that sometimes when we have goals, other people laugh, right?
Yes.
Did you hear that? Did y'all hear that? That he laughed, but he didn't laugh and then just shut her down. He laughed and said, "Come on, let's get with it." And she was willing to do the hard things. Y'all, we all have had instances in our lives where we have accomplished some stuff that somebody looked at us and probably laughed, right? But can we take that same determination that we've had in other areas of our lives and internalize it with our health? The other thing that I want to just hit on, Soror, and this goes into social action and all these other aspects. You talked about, and somebody said it very beautifully in the chat, the importance of representation when it comes around the professionals, those that are helping to guide us for us to improve and protect our health. We have to have more doctors and nurses and therapists and have individuals around us that look like us, that understand us. And we need to support those and also encourage more to go in that way so that we can shift some of the ingrained oppressions that harm our health and that are so heavy in these systems. Soror, you have been truly a delight. Do you see? I don't know if you can see all the stuff that's going on in the chat. Y'all, we're going to have a question period at the end. And so we want to thank you so much for sharing. I love y'all. Keep giving her some applause. And now we're going to bring up our I love you, Soror. Now we're going to bring up our second speaker today, y'all. And this is another wonderful, wonderful soror that has accomplished so much. We went from talking about fitness. If y'all remember when they talked about resolutions, they said fitness up at the top and health, and then they had finances, right? Well, finances kind of connect to your career, right? So today, right now, we're going to hear from a career coach. This is one of our very own Baton Rouge Sigma alumni chapter's very own soror Michelle McCaleb. She is a career coach. She is a former award-winning journalist. She's done everything from being an anchor to a reporter. She's been written up in all different types of magazines. But what a lot of people really need to key in on is that she has been a marketing and communications executive for over 25 years. And her passion is really helping people when it comes to our work. Think about how incredibly important and huge part of our lives, our work's lives are. She helps people determine their passions, see where they are, and help them to get to where they're going to be. So I'm going to come on off. Michelle has a PowerPoint presentation, and now we're going to go in and hear about what she can teach us as it relates to sharing our goals. Now, as she's sharing, y'all keep putting your, wait, here's my list. I want to see your TAs. I want to see your TAs. Keep taking those notes. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah Johnson and Sarah Jatola. I am so inspired by your story as well. It'll make me become a runner, and I'm not a runner. So I am so excited to be here tonight and to talk with you about tips and strategies for pursuing your passions, following your dreams, for setting, reaching, and maintaining your goals. I also want to share with you tips on how to discover your passions, how to develop a plan to accomplish your goals, and to identify actions that you can take starting today to get from where you are now to where you want to be. Sarah King, are you ready with the PowerPoint? So the first thing I want to, as Sarah Johnson mentioned, I am a marketing and communications executive, former award-winning journalist, author, and career coach. My passion is helping people discover their passions. And so I work with clients to help them reach their goals. I'm also the author of 2 books, Good Job, A Guide to Pursuing Your Passions and Following Your Dreams, and That Good Job, Strategies for Pursuing Your Passion and Following Your Dreams. Just a few slides up, Sarah King. Next slide. And the next one. So those are the 2 books. Go back one. Because I truly believe that you should do something that you enjoy. You know, life is too short to have a job that you hate, to get stressed out on Sunday because you're thinking about your job on Monday. So you really should do something that you love. We work most of our lives. And so if you're not doing something that you love, then you're not a happy camper. I'm also excited to be publishing my 3rd book, which is a journal, a companion journal to my book, Strategies for Pursuing That Good Job, Strategies for Pursuing Your Passions and Following Your Dream. Next slide, please. And that will be coming out, next month. So that will be a place where you can write down your goals and dreams, and we'll talk more about that shortly. So how do you go from setting your goals and your dreams and reaching your goals and your dreams? How do you get from where you are now to where you want to be? The first thing you have to do is figure out what you want to do. The first thing you have to do is figure out what you want to do. You know, there are so many people that have been doing so many things for so long that they have no clue as to what they want to do. They have no clue as to what they're passionate about. They have no clue as to what they like. And so the first thing you have to do is find a quiet place in your home, in the library, in the bookstore, and ask yourself a series of questions. Ask yourself a series of questions, and it's okay to talk to yourself. I recommend it. Sometimes we have to encourage ourselves, right? So you have to ask yourself, what is it that I want to do? What is it that you like to do? What is it that you do and you get lost? Like I can spend hours on end in the bookstore and stay there for 8 hours a day. What is it that you were talked out of when you were younger? You know, I worked in the healthcare industry, and I interviewed many nurses and doctors, and many of them said that they did not choose to go into the medical field, that their parents wanted them to get that good job. And so a lot of them wanted to be artists. They wanted to be musicians, and they wanted to be singers and dancers. But again, they went into the medical field because they wanted that good job. What I've learned and what I was told, a friend of mine shared with me a long time ago, is that it's not a good job if it's not a good job for you. You're the one who's doing the job. You're the one who's dealing with a demanding boss. You're the one who's dealing with a toxic work environment. And so it's important for you to find a job that speaks to you. Find a job that makes you happy. And so that's the first thing, is to figure out what is it that you want to do by asking yourself that series of questions. And you have to find what athletes say. They say quieting the noise around you, getting rid of the distractions, and really, again, centering on yourselves and asking yourself those questions. What is it that you want to do? And you can figure that out. Sarah King, can you go to the next slide? Number 2 is you have to write it down. You have to write it down. Next slide. Statistics show that writing your goals down increases your chances of accomplishing them. It's a fact that if you write your goals down, you increase your chances of accomplishing them. Next slide, just keep tapping the. So what I like to do is to get a pretty journal, and you can get a notebook, you can get whatever you like, but I like pretty journals. And write down all of my dreams and goals. It's like one-stop shopping. Everything is there that you need. And so you can keep track of your goals and your dreams. You can monitor your progress as well. So get a pretty journal, get a notebook, what have you, so that you can write down your goals and dreams. There's something very powerful about putting pen to paper. And I know that we're in the digital age, and people like to write on their tablets, and that's okay too. But I would recommend to you to please get a notebook and write it down the old-fashioned way. Sarah King, can you keep going? Number 3. So number 1 is figure out what you want to do. Number 2 is write it down. And number 3 is develop a timeline. Keep going. Develop a timeline or a deadline. You have to develop a timeline or a deadline in order to reach your goals. You can't say, oh, one day I want to go back to school. Oh, someday I'll start my business. Oh, someday I'll retire. Oh, someday I'll quit my job. You have to pick a date on the calendar, Monday through Sunday, January through December. Keep going, January through December, because one day or someday is nowhere on the calendar. So you have to give yourself a timeline. Dr. Phil once said that the difference between a goal and a timeline, goal and a dream is a timeline. The difference between a goal and a dream is a timeline. So you have to give yourself a date. Now that date can change because life happens, but you at least need to give yourself a targeted date for that. So yes, not one day, not someday, but a specific date. I want to go back to law school in the spring of 2025. I want to start a business in the fall of 2026. So you need to have a specific date. Good deal. Next slide, please. Number 4, you have to develop, next slide, please. Number 4, you have to develop a plan. Everything starts with a plan, right? And I want you to talk to me in the chat for this. What do you have to do when you go on a trip? Give me some things. If you're going to New York, what do you have to do if you're going to New York? What do you have to do when you're getting ready to go to New York? You have to budget, of course, book a flight. Yeah, all of that. Hotel reservations. Create an itinerary, get your money right. Same thing with your life. You have to have a plan in order to reach your goal. Successful people plan their life. And the plan is just a series of action steps that you take to get from where you are now to where you want to be. It can be as simple as committing to doing research at the library once a week, Googling tax business if you want a tax business, or Googling how to create a nonprofit organization if you want to create a nonprofit organization. It can be reading a book. It could be joining a professional organization. I tell students all the time that if you want to be a journalist, join the National Association of Black Journalists. You want to be around the people that are doing what you want to do, or just meeting with someone that is doing what you want to do. So please develop a plan. That is an essential part of accomplishing your goals. And number 5, you have to work your plan. You know, the plan is only as good as you work it. You have to work your plan. Successful people work hard to make their plan a reality. They make it a priority. Again, they do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever your sense of timing or urgency is. But success just doesn't happen. You know, if success just happened, we'd all be, you know, like Jay-Z and Beyonce, right? Going around the world on a private jet. You have to put in the work in order to make your plan and your goals and your dreams a reality. A few more things I want to share real quick. I know that we're have a timeline that we want to meet. So some other success tips that have helped me, and I know that they will help you. You have to move forward despite the fear. Change is scary. You know, whenever we change or we're trying to do something new, it's very scary. You never know if you leave a job and you go to a new job, it may not be better, it may be worse. That's the risk you take. So life is about taking risks. There are no guarantees. So you have to move forward despite the fear. You have to feel the fear and keep it moving. Feel the fear and keep it moving. I recall my first job out of college was an internship at the Grand Rapids Press in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was so excited. I had a job in my field. I had graduated from Southern. And I got on that plane and I was scared to death. I cried the whole time to Grand Rapids. I even cried during the layover. And if I could have, I would have returned home and went home because I was so scared, but I didn't. And it turned out to be the best experience of my life, still one of the best experiences of my career. And it really set the tone, set the foundation for the other things, exciting things that I've gotten to do in my career. So you have to move forward despite the fear. The next one is you have to have the right attitude. And I know that we tell our kids and we tell our grandkids this, but adults, we need to check our attitudes as well. You have to always do your best. Be polite and smile. You know, people who wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and they're grumpy, who are you mad at? You just woke up. Do more than what's expected. Show that you're happy to be where you are. I've learned in my experience that the right attitude will take you further than your technical skills. You can learn to be a journalist, you can learn to be a doctor, you can learn to be a nurse, but you really need to learn those soft skills that we talk about because those are key factors in reaching your goals. I tell this story all the time. I once had a boss who decided to reshuffle her entire team. So she put everybody on notice that I'm going to reshuffle my team. You may have a job, you may not, you may get reassigned, you may not. And so she called me in her office and she said that she was keeping me on the team. And one of the key reasons is because she said, Michelle, in the face of uncertainty, your attitude never changed. I still came in early. I still stayed late. I still showed up for things that she didn't expect me to. I still anticipated her needs and gave her things that she didn't ask for. And so I know that the right attitude is key in order to reach your dream, reach your goals, pursue your passions, and follow your dreams. So always have the right attitude. The next one is don't be sidelined by failure. Failure is just a part of success. Many successful people have failed, and some have failed miserably. So don't be afraid by failure. We call it failing forward. It just means to learn the lessons and keep it moving. Learn the lessons and keep it moving. When we know better, we do better. I always think of a story that I share about Tyler Perry, the media mogul, producer, writer, actor, studio owner now. He failed miserably in his first screenplay in Atlanta. He lost all his money. It was a complete flop. He thought he was going to have 1,000 people there. It was only 30 people there. But he didn't give up. He tweaked his play. And, the rest is history. He owns an island in the Bahamas now, okay? He is a billionaire. So again, don't be sidelined by failure. Learn from your mistakes and keep it moving. Just a couple more. You have to share your dreams with others. You have to share your dreams with others. We need a lot of help in this life with being successful, people who support us, who are there for us when we need them. And so you have to share your dreams and goals. I can't help you if I don't know what it is that you want to do. And so don't be afraid to share your dreams and goals with others. You can go to the next slide, Sarah King. I always say you should have, this is a Michael Jordan commercial, but I don't think we'll have time for it. We'll go back to it. We'll go back. So keep going. I always say that you should have your elevator pitch ready. And your elevator pitch is just being able to tell people what it is that you do in a very, very brief amount of time. If people ask me what I do, I have a marketing media consulting firm on assignment media. I do writing, editing, strategic communications. And if you know clients, know someone who needs my services, let me know. So always have your elevator pitch ready. And also always have your resume updated. You may meet somebody in the grocery store, at a conference, who has this great opportunity for you. So you need to have that resume updated so you could shoot it to them right away and be the first one to give them your resume. So don't be afraid to share your dreams with others. The next one is, don't be sidelined by no. People tell me no all the time. I don't listen to no. I just go to the next person. No means next. It means, a friend of mine in sales once said that NO means KNOW. It means you need to know more in order for me to get what I want. So don't listen to no. Just continue to ask. And remember, you only need one yes. You only need one yes. So do not be sidelined by no. I heard Gayle King the other day, the anchor Gayle King said, no in reverse is on. It means it's the start of the conversation, not the end of the conversation. So when someone tells you no, it's just the start of the conversation and not the end. The other thing is, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. I am amazed by people who never ask for what they want. They think if you work hard, your nose to the grind, someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and give you this great promotion. Well, it really doesn't happen that way. The people that I know that are successful, that are reaching their goals and their dreams, are asking for what they want. When I was at Channel 9, I went in my boss's office and asked if I could back up Johnny Asian on traffic. That's how I got to be traffic anchor. I have a friend of mine who's an anchor in Detroit. Every day she goes in with the intention of getting the lead story. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, she gets it. So you have to ask for what you want. Don't be afraid to let people know what you want, because again, I can't help you if I don't know what you want. And if you don't ask, you won't get it. But if you ask, you certainly increase your chances of getting it. And the final one I want to share with you is this is Hoda Kotb. She is the anchor of the Today Show, and she talked about asking for what you want. She said after the surgery, she had breast cancer. I felt fearless. All the things I had worried about previously seemed so small. It was in that tiny window of my life that I ended up asking for promotion, and she got it, the new hour of today. Next slide, please. The final tip that I want to leave you with, this is a good one. Listen to yourself. It's great to have mentors, great to have people who you trust and who have your best interest at heart. But remember to trust your own instincts. You know what you want. You know what you want to do. You know how you feel about it. So remember that your voice is the most important voice in the room. Next slide, please. And this is the final slide. Have a sense of urgency about your dreams. Stop delaying your dreams. You know, when my husband retires, when the kids graduate from college, when the kids graduate from high school, when I pay off my visa bill, when I pay off my mortgage, stop delaying your dreams. Life is short. And we're reminded of that every day, that life is short. And so the time to go after your dreams and your goals and to set your dreams and goals is now. Now is the time to do it. And you should start today. So always remember, it's never too late to pursue your passions and to follow your dreams. And so I want to hear all about, you know, all the goals that you set for 2024 in your progress. And I'd love to answer any questions that you may have if we have time for that. And with that, I will turn it back over to Sarah Johnson.
Y'all. Thank you so much, Soror. Look, I'm looking in the chat and so many people picked up on some of your sayings. The one that resonated with me is no means next. Y'all keep putting your comments in there. You talked about journals. Look, so many wonderful nuggets of information that can be applied. Now, what I'd really love for everybody to kind of take a note of as we're going through this is these sharings that you have on your form, they can be applied to fitness, they can be applied to work. Do you all see? Give me a 1 in the handout. If you see how what has been poured into us today from these two wonderful women can be shared, and yes, indeed, it can be applied to any area of our life, So now let's take a look at some of the ways that we can. But before we do that, y'all, we got to do a commercial. We got 5 minutes left before we close out. We got to do a commercial. Soror King, would you like to come on and talk a bit about the Red River Run? And then I will share about a special giveaway. And then we'll get ready to close out with the rest of the TAPA. Soror King, can you come on and tell us a little bit about the race?
Well, the Red River Run will take place on Southern University's campus. We will run the Bluff. It is a USA Track and Field certified route, 5K, 10K. Right now, we have a promo code of FAM 2024, where either race is $20. Come on out. It is a great time. It's also followed up with a health fair afterwards, as well as vendors will be out there selling wonderful wares. Like, I don't know, Nettie, you might have some of those cracked tea cake cookies.
I'll have a cracked tea cake. Yes, ma'am. They will be there. Yes. Now, here's the special thing. I'm going to go on ahead. If somebody can drop the link, I'm going to do it right now into the box. If you have already registered, thank you so much. This is the 3rd year. Sorors have done an amazing job with this, bringing this health and wellness activity to North Baton Rouge. It's just growing by leaps and bounds. And y'all, we want to top our numbers this year. So she gave us a promo code of FAM 2024. Even if you're not local, you can still register. There is a virtual option. And y'all, we have a goal to have 100 brothers and sisters across the nation to join us virtually on that day. And we can explain how that works. To support this, y'all, if any of you register today and you were in the meeting chat, now we're saving the chat. So remember, we told you to share because participation can pay. We're going to match the name of one person who registers today by midnight to somebody in here. And then I will, from the learning spot, send you your registration feedback. So, and if we get more than 25 registrations, we will do that for 2. So pass that around. We want people to come in and show out. This is a way of putting it to action. And if you want to be involved as it comes to physical activity, this is a wonderful way to do it. Y'all, you making my heart sing, seeing people saying registered already, registered today. Yes, indeedy. Y'all, really quickly as we close out, I just want to add look at you all. I love it. I want to share with you a couple of tips, and then we're going to have a closeout where we're going to try to take some of this learning and take it to action. I'm just going to throw 3 quick tips because everybody has said so much, but here are 3 additional things that I'd really love for you to consider when it comes to whatever your goal may be to make it stick. Y'all, you got to have a strong why. Never underestimate the power of a reason, of a why. Think about when something really mattered to you beyond the actual goal itself. It can be your anchor. It can help to reignite motivation, because motivation is not constant. It ebbs and flows. And if we've heard stories about having something that's bigger than you, that is so incredibly important. Number two, find your fit. Very often we can get caught up in the, group think and in trying to do whatever is popular. But if that doesn't fit where you are in this particular moment in time, your abilities, your resources, your desires, if it's not going to take you on your path, what tends to happen is we go in hard and then we stop. Finding your fit and being consistent in it can make a very big difference in getting there. And then the last thing that I want to do is to prioritize the process, y'all. Oftentimes when we set goals, we're thinking about the end and we make them smart. They're going to be specific and measurable and all of these things. It's very outcome oriented. And yes, we want to have an outcome, but y'all, it's a beautiful thing when you learn how to enjoy the journey. When you learn how to get into those steps, those walks or those runs each time, when you love learning, when you're working towards a degree, when you get to learn to love the journey, and even if you don't love it because feelings are fickle, if you appreciate it, that will help you to be able to stay in it and to not just have this goal be something that we set and we don't make it there. It can be something that not only we learn about, but something that we truly do come to live. So we don't have time for questions right now. If you have questions, pop them in the chat. We may do a part 2 on this a little bit further. I'm going to talk to Sora King and have her come on in just a second. But before we close, here's the last thing. Y'all remember this TA sheet that I asked you to do? Here's how we're going to take learning from just being head knowledge into life knowledge. And again, I encourage you to do this anytime a sermon, a workshop, a webinar. When you have these things that you all did such a great job talking about what resonated with you, take some time and be quiet in a moment and look over that list. And whatever resonated with you, it did it for a meaning, a reason. And then take 1, 2, no more than 3. We can't do everything all at once, but pick 1 or 2 or 3 of those things and then take it from that TA column to the PA. Here's what PA stands for practical application. This resonated with me. When the soror said this, or when this came up, this really resonated with me. How am I going to make it real in my life? And spend some time detailing that, using some of these nuggets. Do y'all like that? Do y'all think this is doable? Here's the second part. If you all would be willing, and if you would like some support, if you go on ahead and finish your TAPA form on a piece of paper, I don't care what it is, and if you take a moment and you take a snapshot and you send it to me via email, I'm going to put my email in the chat, you can win either a $25 American Express gift card or a coaching session where we will have a coach that can step you through some of those steps, depending upon what your particular goal is, okay? And again, this is going to be donated by the Learning Spot. So you're going to take a snapshot of that particular element and you're going to email it to info@thelearningspot.vip. I'm putting it into the chat right now. As we get ready to close out, sorors, can you come in as we close? One last slide, y'all. We do have an evaluation. And by completing this evaluation, you will, at the end of it, you will get a 12-page goal guide that will take you through additional evaluation steps where you're really looking at your life and trying to determine what are some of the goals that you have that you want to make them to be realized. So please do fill out the evaluation when you have a moment, and you'll get that guide immediately. I'm going to turn this back over, you all. Thank you so much for your participation. It is sincerely our hope and our prayer that this was not only enjoyable and informative for you, but that it will be impactful, that you will take some of this head knowledge and move it to your heart so it's grounded in a solid why, and then put it into your hands or your mouth or your feet or however it needs to work its way out so that it is real in your life. Thank you so much to Soror McCaleb, to Soror Anderson Blair. Y'all are amazing, and I'm going to turn it back over to our main speaker as we close out. Is it Sister Soror Bettis or Soror King?
It's actually going to be International Awareness would like to make an announcement, and then Sarah Dawn Harris will close us out.
Thank you so much.
International Awareness?
Gabrielle, you can unmute yourself.
Is she on, Dawn?
I believe she is, but while we wait for Gabrielle to join us, I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out and enjoying this program with us. It has been awesome. Thank you, Ms. Chatola. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, Nettie, for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. I think we all learned a lot, and we all have some good notes for this evening. We want to encourage you all to continue to participate in our Wellness Wednesday events. I'm sure we'll have another great one coming up. And Gabrielle, are you here and ready to talk? And so if she is having some technical difficulties, I just want to remind you all to look out for our Facebook page and all of our social media. Our next event is World AIDS Day. It's centered around World AIDS Day, and we will be posting flyers about that. So join us then, and join us. Watch our social medias for our next event, and I just want to thank you for coming. And that is it.
Well, this has been a full 60 plus minutes. Thank you all for attending. Everybody stay warm, and phenomenal job, Sorors. Thank you all again.
Thank you all.
Good night,
You guys have
everyone.
been a great audience. Thank you.